in mind.
Okay.
We're live. Kim's streaming it to her channel. This could take a bit. Hi, everybody. Hi, Debbie from Three Shifting Veils. Hi, Barbara, Divergent Moon, and Miss Kim.
I put man B.
Yeah, it's on. It's up. I can see it. We're connected.
Okay, good.
Yay! And I invite and hello to all of Kim's folks.
Hello.
Long time no see, girl. You've been to England and back and all here and there and all over.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of yeah, moving back and forth a little bit. I've been home for a while now and heading back in October. So
Oh, okay. That's a pretty time in England.
yeah, it's nice. It doesn't get really cold until about mid-November, around there.
Yeah. Well, I've never been to England when it's cold. I've only been there in the summer.
Is when it gets cold, at least where we are, we're in near the sea, so it gets very, very chilly. And
Well, even in the spring by the sea in England, it's chilly.
yeah, it can be.
Because I'm from Texas.
Yeah, that's right. You like that warm weather, so yeah.
No, I don't like. Actually, we're having a marvelous summer. We just had rain all day today.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's not going to get out of the 80s and it's not going to get to 90s till the middle of the week. Our whole summer has been so cold. It really sends me fears about what winter's going to be like.
Right.
Oh, somebody's really excited that we're in the same place. So we both have a great love of England, but we got family there.
Yeah, the family's there, and so just trying to get back I'll be there for the holidays, so that'll be nice.
Oh, that's lovely. I think the way they celebrate so much more civilized than here.
Oh yeah, well it is quieter. It's not as not as in your face.
Yeah, and it's lots of lovely music and celebrations that are. I don't know if she lives in a village or in a city or in one of the sort of in between towns. My husband, he had family that lived in villages. They lived in Bournemouth. They lived in a village outside of York, and it was just so I mean, just going around traveling and seeing his family. We had some family that was near Shrewsbury too, which is in Wales.
Oh, nice.
And it's beautiful over there. But
nice.
Enough of our silly traveling. We're going to travel now into Kim's mind.
Oh.
For those of you who, do you have any questions about the profiles that we're doing?
No, but I know I'm by myself now. I don't know what happened to Nancy, but I'm sure she'll be back. Everybody, don't worry. I'm going to say hi to Gina and Janine and Crystal Blue and Daniel. Hello.
My tarot cards fell on my keyboard.
Oh, no.
There's one button that knocks you off.
Oh, no. We didn't panic. We knew you'd be back.
I know. I'm old and ugly on computers. My master's in the 70s was in computer science. So.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I know them back to when you coded line by line on punch cards.
I can't imagine.
And my youngest went on to get a degree in computer science, but she got her degree in the 2000s. And so I happened to be moving at the time and I found a stack of punch cards. And you had thought I'd handed her some ancient papyrus.
Oh.
Carried it into the lab and they were all passing. This is how they used to do it.
Oh my gosh, how funny. Yeah, I remember dial up and all of that stuff.
So we're not going to do that kind of dial up. What we're going to do is I'm doing a series and it's called Psychic Profiles, and it's everything from soup to nuts. It's from very well experienced people who do all kinds of stuff to in October, I'm having on a man who works with aliens to control earthquakes and volcanoes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, we got everybody. I mean,
yeah, that's really interesting.
If you got a psyche you want profiled,
okay.
You also can self-volunteer if you're a psychic or if you can think of someone you would like to see, because obviously someone brought the volcano guy to me, because I don't
Yeah.
mess with aliens all that much. But
Oh, that's fascinating. Wow.
so anyway, I'm going to read Kim the same 20 questions, and she's free to answer them if she wants to. She can skip if she doesn't. And it's just about kind of a journey through being a psychic. And they're the kinds of questions I found I got over time from people. And I realized there's a lot they don't know about the journeys we have. And a lot of, since so many people are waking up right now
Yeah.
and coming, and they're like, oh my God, I've got this thing in the room with me, you know, and I'm going, it's just a part of you. You'll get used to it. But this is in hope she'll understand, and then not be terrified and not be frightened, and maybe meet a mentor or a person that you can begin to connect with to learn how to do that. Now, Kim teaches a lot of mediumship. Do you still teach the mediumship?
Not right now, but I kind of move, I kind of switch and change, but I'm not, I have done. Yeah.
Okay. But there's a lot of good teachers around, a lot of good mentors around. I teach real things like pendulums and tarot cards and stuff like that.
Nice. Uh-huh.
And anyway, so this is where we're going. And your first question is, when did you first realize that you might have psychic abilities?
In the moment, because you can look back and you can see a lot of like, oh, that was that. Oh, I get that. That wasn't an imaginary friend. That was a guy. And you can look back and see that. But in the moment where I actually put the pieces together was when I was probably about, I was probably 31. That's probably how old I was. Yeah. And it was just a premonition about my dad passing away. And that's what I finally put together, that, oh, that was a message and telling me something, and this thing actually happened. And it's like the penny dropped. I put everything together. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was sort of your single aha moment.
Mm-hmm.
But then did that kind of gradually build over time, or did you say no? That a lot of people say no, that didn't happen, and then they pull it back in.
No, I knew that had happened. I really wasn't sure if it was like, and then I started to put pieces together going back. I was going back and realizing, oh, that's what I was doing. Oh, that's what was happening. So it happened earlier, but as you know, that when you hear your guides, when you hear, it sounds like you, it sounds like your voice in your head. So it's not something that's obvious. And I always tell people that it's not meant to be obvious. It's meant to be in the background. It's not meant to be right in front of your face. You have to be the one to sort of work on it and make it more, make yourself more awake to it, and get more sensitive to it and that kind of thing. But from that time going back, I could see different points where definitely things were happening. I've always been able to read people's emotions. That's been, I was a little tiny kid. And once again, when it's natural for you, you either think everybody can do it, or you just think it's coincidence, or you kind of just, you use your logical mind to figure it out. And but that was an opening of some kind. And then after my dad passed, I was really more opened up. So it was progressive. It wasn't like I just exploded open. And it wasn't like that for me.
Good. Well, I picked up a tarot deck at 12 and started reading it, and it worked. So that was kind of a big clue. But when I look back on my whole life, I realized, weirdly enough, because I'm writing the book I never wanted to write. After I almost died in June, they said, now you have to explain to people about why you didn't leave and why you're here now. And I'm on a totally different mission now. It's very weird. But one of the things that I realized as I've looked backwards, I had the weirdest set of people who were affirming who I was and telling me, you are seeing these things exist around you. They were Catholic nuns.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's been kind of interesting. And I always had adults who just told my parents, she knows this stuff, leave her alone. And so they kind of left me alone. Did you notice any unusual experiences as a child? You kind of went through that you felt very empathic and
Yeah, I definitely had a lot of, and just was super sensitive and just, yeah, I mean, that was always just who I was, I didn't think that was any different than anybody else, but apparently it was.
And as you were growing into your experiences and shared them, were you supported or were they very skeptical or a mix of both?
I was, I mean, shockingly supported. I really thought, because I grew up in a Mormon family, that there would be people and maybe there are behind my back, who knows, they do say things or say, oh, Kim, whatever. But honestly, I've been so supported by my family, friends that I've told. I mean, I don't go around telling everybody that I have a channel and I do this. I really don't. But when people have seen it by accident, sometimes I'll just come across it, and some I've told, and it's funny because several people have been like, I could totally see that. Of course you could. I would totally see you doing that. I'm like, you would? That's so weird, So, but yeah, I really have been very supported, very much so.
Good. Well, did you seek training once you realized you were sensitive, or did you just explore it on your own?
No, I did talk to some people when I started getting lots of messages, and really what really opened the barn door was the start of the channel. I felt like my guides knew I was talking to people and that I was getting messages and I was giving them to people, and it just really opened everything up. And so I sought out a couple of people that I felt that I trusted and kind of said, what is going on? What do I do? And so I had a couple of, I guess, mentors early on. And then I had, when I started working with orbs, I also sought out a mentor to kind of guide me through that and teach me things that I needed to know. Other than that, I mean, like, I'm kind of, I guess, would you say I'm self-taught? I don't know what would you say, but I just kind of stuck with it, and I just trusted my guides and knew that that was key at the very beginning, that I had to just keep trusting and trusting and trusting, and that relationship and that consistency would grow over time as I trusted them.
Well, you were a singer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of know, you train your voice and you put it out there. I know a lot of sensitives that went into the arts. That's my first degree was in broadcast film, and I started in theater.
Okay.
So a lot of learning how to connect with other people that way, and you learn, well, somebody has to teach you how to do the dance steps, and somebody has to teach you how to do the notes, and we need to practice. So
right. I mean, practicing is a big thing. And I also think that, people can I think classes are wonderful, because I've taught classes, I teach classes, and I've taught them, and I think they're wonderful. But I think sometimes, I don't know if you found this, but I find that some people can get stuck in classes where they really want to be a reader or something, and they think the next class is going to be the one that's going to make them feel like they can fly. And it's like, no, when you want to be a reader, you want to get what you need and then get out there and start reading, because it's a little bit like driving in a way, because you can take the driving test and all this stuff, but when you get out on the road, that's when you have all your experiences and you learn about your own skill and you have your own stuff you need to figure out. And I think it's so important that people definitely take classes and get the basics and, that kind of thing, and meet people. It's nice to meet people, but once you have your sea legs, just get out there, because I think that's the best education you're going to get, is when you start, if you want to be a reader, when you start reading, you really get a full education that way.
Well, it doesn't matter what you work with, whether it's crystals or reading or elementals or whatever. You just kind of need to engage with it and see where it goes. I mean, there's not a lot like your orbs.
Yeah, exactly.
Are there, what was the most specific tool you used early on when you were working?
Specific tool. I didn't use any tools really. I do use the tarot cards, like with family. I'll just use it for validation. I love the dowsing rods, but those came later. I don't know why I didn't think to use tools. I just didn't for some reason.
Okay, well, that's fine. I mean, so if somebody's sitting at home saying, well, I just do all this stuff, but I don't want to go buy a deck of cards, fine. You don't have to.
Yeah, I think it's a different kind of road, because I just really leaned into trust. And I think that when a tool can kind of be a buffer that way. You can kind of, you have something physical that's showing you. And so you can kind of, it's a little maybe gentler or something. I think I kind of did the hard way in some ways. I probably should have had a tool. My sister is great with tarot cards, and she loves the tarot cards, and she loves them because, and she really doesn't use them that much anymore, but she has them there. But she said she likes them to keep her focused, because sometimes she can kind of go off in these, just go off on whatever is coming in, and she'll kind of, it will bring her back to the reading and what she's supposed to be talking about. Well,
I took your mediumship class 3 or 4 years ago. It was early on in all this stuff when we're on YouTube. And I talked to you before I took the class, and I explained to you that I liked having my cards, because then I could always blame the cards, right? I liked having my tools there. And I remember you used to, with Freebird, you used to have a thing called popcorn at the beginning. And the second week, this woman put her hand up and she said, when I saw Nancy Jean was in here, I thought, boy, have I gone to the wrong class. And I had to explain to him that in doing mediumship like you do it, I was every bit as much a novice as they were. I mean, although I did find out I could read without the cards. And then I loved your class and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And then I immediately picked my cards back up and said, I'm here.
Yeah. Well, and that's it. You have to do, be in your comfort zone when you're doing your own thing. But I think that's a good, I am so glad that you took the class, because I do think that it's important to keep being a student and keep being a seeker, right? There's such, I think that's really important. And I know that whenever I do a reading, I know I'm a student. I'm going to learn something from even giving a reading. You learn something every time. Not always positive, but you do learn stuff about what people like and what they want and what they don't like, and all that stuff. So I think it's important to stay in that seeker lane, So
and trust me, if you go to a reader who said, I know all the answers, that's when you turn the channel off.
Right.
Don't hang around with that. Do you have any mentors or teachers or folks? I mean, I know you and your sister kind of go back and forth, but and you've had actually meetings with other psychics. So
I mean, no, I wouldn't say. I think I did, and when I first started, like I said, I was a little like, oh, what's going on? But as soon as I got like validation, like, oh, this is the way it is sometimes, and this happens, and to pace yourself and that kind of thing. And I've talked to people, to different readers at different times. If I've had like, I don't know, the little problems that you run into, as far as or do you find that certain times a day are better for you than other times? And just making sure that I'm like, that I'm understanding things the best that I can. So I'll reach out when I need to, I guess is the answer to that. But I don't have like a permanent one person that I always turn to. I don't really have that. The closest would be probably my sister. I do talk to her.
I was going to say your sister. Somebody want to know does your sister still have her channel, and what's her name?
She does, and she doesn't post very often. I think she posted recently about like the world, like what's going on in the world and that kind of thing. Her name is Chris, and her channel is called Cardvoyant. And
Cardvoyance is what
Cardvoyant. It's all just one word. And yeah, and she does personal readings too. She's great at things like past lives and things like that. She's really very tuned in.
When she was on more often, I used to watch her quite a bit.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed her. I enjoyed her style. How did you learn to tell the difference between your imagination and your psychic impressions?
How did I try to? I feel like, there is it is subtle. It is subtle, especially when you first start. It's very subtle. As you get to work with your guides and you get to know like how they are and what their sense of humor is and how they bring things in, and they use the same things all the time. They'll use songs with me all the time. They'll use TV, they'll use movies. They'll keep going back to that because they know that you understand. And so they build it up. It's like as you get it, it's like, oh, I got that. They know that, and they'll keep using it. And so I think that an example would be, I wake up in the morning and a song I haven't thought of in 30 years is in my mind. I know that's my guides.
Mm-hmm.
There's some more obvious things that you can pick up right now that people probably have these things happen. But if you're not into this stuff and you might just think, oh gosh, I haven't thought about that song in a long time. And it just might be a thing you kind of know that happened, but you don't really, necessarily put two and two together. But your guides are always trying to assist and help and give you little bits of information to try to make life easier. But I would say that you just kind of get to know. But when you think it's your guides, I always say it out loud and kind of mark it, and then see if it repeats. Because if you got it and that was your guides, then they'll repeat it. They'll keep doing it and kind of, they'll keep validating that experience. And so I guess that's an answer. I can't really.
Did you ever do any writing on your own, like writing poetry or plays or songs or anything?
Yeah, I've written a lot of songs. Yeah.
Do you find that any of the lyrics or any of the stories of the songs follow something you've come in contact with in your life?
I'm sure they have. When I wrote music, mostly I was doing just music at the time. I was teaching preschool, and I was doing music at the time. So I'm sure if I look back, I'm sure there'll be lots and lots of coincidences about what was happening in my life, and it was coming out in this song, or the answer that I was looking for was coming out in this or that verse. But I knew that a lot of things that, even in teaching and even in working with other musicians and things, I knew that I always just put it down to having good instincts. There was something more. It was my guides were helping me. They were helping me put together this lesson so that it was cohesive and made sense to the kids. They were helping me put together, to have the idea even of this new program that I wanted to insert into the preschool or whatever. They're constantly helping, so looking back, like I can see so many times and so many things, but they're meant to be subtle. They're meant to be in the background. They're not meant to be in our face, and loud, and it would be too confusing.
Well, if they're throwing rocks in front of you that are making you trip,
yeah,
it's not going to work terribly well.
Right. So
Okay.
I have that question, but yeah.
Were there moments when you doubted yourself?
Oh, I doubt myself all the time. I doubt myself all the time.
Well, how do you push through that?
It is a matter of, I had a really huge last year around this time, I had a huge I don't know, maybe it was about a year and a half ago. I had this huge bout of what was like a crisis of confidence. It really was. I really thought I was going to shut up the channel and just forget it. I can't. And what I noticed was that when I got fearful, when I got afraid, I needed to push through it. And I just understood that. And usually I'll pull someone towards me. So I'll lean on somebody. I'll lean on another reader, or I'll lean on someone and I realized in that moment, my guides were trying to get me to stand on my own 2 feet and push through the fear and just go for it. Just do it. And that's when I started the mediumship show that I do now, is because mediumship was a thing. I knew how to do it. I knew that I felt like I could do it, and yet I was terrified of doing it. So I knew that I needed to push through in a way where I could be sort of, I was sort of personally accountable, so that I was kind of, having to do it every week, and I had to be engaged every week and do it and stay on top of my practices and things. But it was a real scary thing. And I think, and now I have moments all the time where I have to just push through it. And we just recently did John F. Kennedy, and that I'm like, this is going to just lay me out. I cannot do this. I'm so scared. But I was like, no, I'm feeling fear. And so I'm just going to push through it. Now it's a cue for me to calm down, just get in there and just do it, and just push through the fear. It's okay. And it was fun.
There's such an atmosphere around us of fear.
Yeah.
And so when, as I've often said, when I would lay out my table to read in the wine bar every Tuesday night, I put all my stuff out and I'd sit there, and then there'd be a calm before people really showed up in numbers to be read. And I always had that thought, what if it doesn't work tonight? What if it's whatever it was is gone now? And was my guides, Addie and Frank, sitting behind me going bonk, bonk in the back of my head. It doesn't work that way, and it was just, okay, lay down the first card, say what it means, and move on. And for those people who are just starting to feel things, that's important for you to know that you just need to find a way to try and practice and look at what's going on around you and deal with it.
Yeah.
How did you handle skepticism from yourself or others? You talked a little bit about yourself, your own skepticism, but from others, do you get? I did.
I felt early on if I was going to continue, if I was going to do this and I was going to continue doing this, that I really needed support. I knew that if I had a bunch of skeptics coming at me, I would just close up shop, especially early on. Now, probably not so much, but early on, I just wasn't there yet. I wasn't there enough I just didn't have the confidence. And I feel like because of that, I feel like I've had a pretty gentle, flow as far as skeptics. But I find that I've had them more in personal readings. And the way that one thing that I did that I do every so often, because it's not very often that I'll get a skeptic, but when I do, I will ask them to, I can tell you're not sure about this, or you're not, and I can feel it. I can feel that.
Oh,
And
yeah.
what maybe people that don't read know that when you have a person sitting across from you like this, shut down, it's really hard to read them. So it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy, because they're skeptical. They don't want you to, they don't believe in this. They don't like it. Now, sometimes you can break through, and then you get like kind of a momentum going in spite of that. But what I did early on, and I have continued to do this, is I tell the person that you don't have to believe anything that I say, but for the next 30 minutes, I want you just to pretend that you believe everything I'm saying. And after that, you can go back and look through it, but just pretend with me, just play. Okay, just pretend. And that works. It usually opens it up enough that I can start to get a flow. But I find it really hard to get a flow with a shutdown. I'm maybe more of a cynic, but I do find that really difficult in a reading. I really, and I think readers do, for the best readings, you do need energetic cooperation from the person across from you.
Right. Yeah. I handed money back to a woman who absolutely wouldn't listen to me, and I wanted her to, and I gave her money back, and I just said, well, I'm sorry, but that, I see you coming to this conclusion. And I said, who brought you here? And she said, well, I'm just going to go tell her what a fraud you are. And her friend came up and sat down, and I ended up reading her friend. And the reason I wanted the friend to come back was because the woman in front of me was going to commit suicide. And I couldn't say you're going to commit suicide, but because I don't know. I mean, we always have that moment when we don't have to, but they managed to stop it. And through the friend, I followed her for a year, and she came out of it okay. But to the day that the last time I talked to her friend, she said, oh, that awful fraud at that reading. Look, I've pulled my life together. So we all play our role in those sorts of things. Let's see. How do you protect your energy?
I'm a big prayer. I do a lot of praying. I bubble up when necessary. I'll have my guys bubble me up when necessary. But I do a lot of protective stuff, not as much in my home, although I can feel usually in the morning when either something's about to happen or something has happened overnight. You can feel like the waves of, as an empath, you can feel the waves of fear, and we're in California, so I'm feel the fear and the worry and the anger, and it kind of comes in waves. And when it's heavier on some days, I will put some ask for a white light or protection around me. If I go out to in public, in like really public spaces, I always put some sort of protection around me or ask for some sort of protection. I do think it's important, though, that especially as empaths, because I feel like it's something we need right now, is more compassion in our world. And so I do think it's important to be able to let your energy sort of breathe. So I don't bubble up completely when I'm in public all the time. I'll put ask for just a light layer around so that I can still let my energy be felt by other people, because I think it's important right now.
Oh, I don't think we were given our powers to take them and put them in a closet and say, when it's nice and sunny and everybody's where I want them to be, I'll come back out. It doesn't work that way.
Exactly.
Do you think your psychic abilities are innate in everyone, or they're just the chosen?
Yeah, no, they're in everyone. It's it's in everyone, and I think it depends on how much you want to practice, how much, I think you do need to kind of check in every day, just to,
Mhm.
it's a couple of minutes, just to kind of tune in and check in and just kind of take a few deep breaths and kind of get aligned with that, higher self and your guides, and just feel that for a moment. I think that's good for everybody. But I think anybody can do it. I think there are Mozarts out there where they're just born and they have this ability out of they just have always been able to see deceased people and talk to them. And there are people like that.
Mhm.
I think a lot of people, you know, and depending on what you want to do too, if you want to work in the field, like if you want to be a teacher, if you want to
Mhm.
read for people or whatever, then you have to put in your practice just like you would for any other type of job or profession or anything. You have to put in your time and effort.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And has the work and the way you've been exposed to the world, has it changed your worldview? I know you came from a religious background, but I assume the spirit you're dealing with now is a little different than the spirit that used to be in your church.
Yeah, exactly. And
That could be a prejudice for me, but
no, I actually think that it was always the same, but the dogma has changed for me. I don't use the dogma of church anymore. I so I say my guides, and I think of it differently. I also think of the um, the afterlife differently, the spirit realm differently. I grew up not at the church that I was in, the Mormon church. They do not believe, they believe in a pre-existence, which is very interesting, but they don't believe in reincarnation. And one of the first things out of the gate when I left, yeah, when I the first thing out of the gate, one of the first beliefs that, because I was in the church as a child, so I was always in the Mormon church,
right.
from teeny tiny and on up. And um, when I left the church, I really started to read and seek and search. And it was really exciting because it was the first time I was 30. How old was I? I was like 38. And it was the first time I could decide what I felt and what I believed and what I thought everything was about.
Mhm.
And of course, I had been having experiences that were really in my face for about, it was clear I was moving in a different direction. But one of the first things I thought was, I absolutely believe in reincarnation. It has to be, because there is no way somebody can learn everything in one lifetime. It's just like, it's so obvious to me. But it was one of those things that's very near and dear to my heart, because it was one of the first like declarations out of the church that was my own, where I looked into it. I found out how I believe it worked and what I think
Mhm.
is going on, and that was very precious to me. And I'm a seeker. I
Mhm.
think that I know some things now, or that I kind of have figured some things out just from my own experiences, or reading, or doing readings. But I don't know it all, and I'm not going to know it all while I'm here.
We don't.
Well,
People like
for
they
every
want to ask us like we do, but we
yeah.
don't. um, what's been one of the most powerful readings you've ever done? One that either moved you or you felt like it moved something in a direction you didn't kind of see coming.
I mean, there have been for you too. There have been a lot of readings that I could point to. There was one that I had that was there was one that I had where I was so surprised at how brilliant spirit was, how they work, and how they're so good at timing things, and also getting the information through in a way that speaks to you personally.
Mhm.
I had had an aunt about a year earlier pass away, And it was a really, before that, I'd had nothing but really positive experiences with death. As far as people passing away, they were really easy passings in a lot. And this one was a very difficult, awful passing. And I was helping to take care of her in hospice. And so I was there for all of it. And
that's when you really see it.
We're working round the clock. And I was with her 2 boys who had flown out, and then my sisters would kind of pop in, and we had definitely people that were around, but we were the 3 consistent people that were there all the time. And it was very rough, and it was very hard. And it went on for the dying process, which in my previous experiences had been really quick, went on for a couple of weeks. And a lot of pain, and it was just awful. But anyway, I was so angry and upset after that happened. And flash forward, a year, and I'm doing readings. I never thought, everything fast forwarded so quickly after that passing. And I was doing a reading for another, and it always bothered me. It was always there. I was always like, why did that have to be so awful? Why? Flash forward to, I'm doing a reading. It's probably about, I want to say like a year, maybe it was a little longer than that. And I'm talking to a woman who said her mother had just passed away, and it was awful. It's an awful passing. And during that reading, the parallels between her mother and my aunt were exact. I'm still getting chills when I think about it now. They were so exact. They were so just the same. And in that reading, my guides had said, and her guides, I guess, because I was reading for her, had talked about the fact that some people want to feel and understand the breakdown of the body. And it's almost like they want to feel every cell kind of, fall away, every organ. They want to have this experience of the body basically shutting down completely. And they want to be there for every little bit of it. And and even then, they're not in the body all the time. They're
They're going in and out. I know, because when my husband died, I could feel he was leaving and then coming back, and I'm going, "Oh, you're back."
But they want to really. It's almost like clinging on to feel every little thing that has to go in the body, and so they'll sort of keep the body kind of going through this process. And I don't think that's true for everybody that has that kind of experience. But for this, they were giving me the answer that I had asking for a year and a half. And for some reason, the timing was perfect, but also it was through service, through serving someone else, that I got the answer to this question. And so that one was not only did I get the lesson that when you serve others, you serve yourself. You're one. You really are all connected. And that and how clever that your guides are, how they will get you the information. If you're asking a question, they will get you the information you're seeking.
They'll find it.
It may take some time, and it may be perfectly timed to assist someone else as well, because other people are involved, not just you, not just me. So that one was that stayed with me a long time, and it taught me like I said, kind of a string of lessons within that one reading.
Yeah. And to your point, I think we go through things in our lives and we go, why the hell did I have to go through that? Why did I learn that? And you will always end up using it in a reading. You'll always end up having to touch and be with someone that needs the other side of it, that there's a bridge beyond where you are.
Yeah.
And for people when my husband died, it wasn't easy. But we had already done a whole 6-week course on death and dying. And since then, parts of that course, you can get it through AARP. And it starts with you write your own obituary, and then who do you want to know and how do you want to handle things. And they tell you to go talk to your physician about where you want to stop, how you want to stop, if you, and like a lot of times we don't have any control over that. But in the case of Bill, he'd had a stroke, then they found the cancer, and he and I'd already discussed it before we were in that crisis point. And he'd always said, if I don't have my body and I can't walk around, I don't want to live. And so I had the hardest job in the world. And it's not easy if you're the family member on the other side, convincing doctors that death is not a defeat to them. It's a service to their patient. Right. And Danny and I actually did a show with the other Kim, medium Kim, and who's a hospice nurse, about setting the ground rules with your family so you kind of know.
Yeah.
So you've thought it through, because it's stuff we don't want to think about. But boy, when you get to that point, you need to know.
Yeah.
And my husband just looked at me when we knew what the prognosis was. He said, get me out of here. I had my marching orders, and I never looked back, and there was none of, it's just, well, first of all, we didn't have a giant estate. So by the way, it wasn't for any of that. To go on, what advice would you give? What advice would you give someone to explore their gifts? If someone says, I think I'm sensitive. I mean, do you have any sort of answers you would give? Or
I always tell people to move towards what they're fascinated by, what they're interested in, what they're curious about. Because I feel like that is where the answers are. I was always fascinated with mediums. I was always not freaked out by death. In fact, my first 2 memories of my life were 2 funerals. When I was a year old and when I was 4 years old. We had death around us so much in our family because we have a really big family.
Yeah, you got a big family because you can't keep killing them off that fast.
Exactly. We have a really big family, but we had weird deaths. We had surprise deaths, and we had, car accidents and different all kinds of things. And so it wasn't something that freaked me out, but I was always interested in the other side, and where I know they don't die. I know that. I could always feel that. But what happens? What goes on? Where do they go? So I was always fascinated by NDEs, and I was just always fascinated by this stuff. So of course I would end up working in this, it's like, so it's so obvious, but I would say go move towards things you are really fascinated by and curious about. And that's also the vibration you want to be in when you start to move into this. You want to be in that really interested, fascinated, joyful, excited. That's it. That's the sauce. That's like the secret sauce to go into all of this with, is just that fascination. And what you're curious about is probably what you should be looking into, what you're really good at, what, maybe the first place you're going to start. It's speaking to us in different ways, and a lot of times that is the way it's speaking to us, is through, gosh, that's fascinating. Oh, I can't get enough of this show, or I can't get enough of these mediums, or whatever. That is telling you something. It's not just you find it fascinating. It's like, you could do that. That's basically what they're telling you. You could do that too. Why don't you look into it?
Do you have any daily habits or exercises you'd recommend for someone?
Yeah, no, I'm a big meditator. However, I always tell people to fit a practice into what they already do every day. So for me, it's housework. I do housework every day. So when I do my housework, right before I start, I invite my guides in, and then I'm just in the moment with it. I'm just in the moment as I sweep, in the moment as I vacuum, and I do get messages. I'll get answers to what I should talk about in the next class, or I'll get little things that come in, little hits that come in, and I'll usually I might ask a question. I'm working on this. Can you give me information? And then I'll just start doing my housework. But I always tell people to and then just be in the moment. So something you do every day, make your tea, or have your coffee, sit and have it with spirit. Ask them to come in, or ask your family members to come in and sit with you and just start reminiscing, reminisce out loud, talk to them, and you'll start to feel like you're not alone. You'll start to feel it. If you repeat it and you keep repeating it, you will start to feel like, I am not alone. There's
not isolated.
So yeah, just fit it into what you already do, because I think that's the consistency is most important. And I feel like, because spirituality, it expands, right? So you're always wanting to, you're always kind of expanding in different ways. And so the consistency every day, it just will keep you on top of where you maybe should be looking at next, or where, what else feels good, or what else feels like, this is the right place to start looking at. So yeah, I think that's the best way to stay consistent, basically.
I find that sometimes I'll open up and I'll find something on YouTube that's not something I'm subscribed to, but it shows up in my feed, and I'll look at it and I go, oh, I hadn't thought about that before, seen it that way, or done that with.
Yeah. Yeah.
How can someone find a trusty psychic community or mentor? That's a gut thing.
It really is. Yeah, it really is a gut thing. I think I think who, people watch me and they'll watch a few other readers, and it's like that, those people resonate with them. I think you're naturally drawn to who resonates with you. And so I think that's where you go. I'm sure you've seen readers or things where you're just not, you don't resonate with them, or their style is not something you resonate with or something. And I think that's also though why it's so important to have so many different kinds of readers and different kinds of people out on YouTube, different kinds of spiritual voices, because some will resonate and some will not. And it's really about waking everybody up. That's all it's really about right now. It's just everybody wake up. Come on, let's get this show on the road.
We can't be all things for all men or all women.
I think it's you're right, Nancy. It's a gut thing. It's but just notice it's to me, you don't have to overthink it. Who resonates with you? Who do you like? You'll probably find people in that community, or they'll have a class and you can take the class, and people will be in the class that are just like you. Yeah, it's that. I think it's that simple. I think we overthink things way too much, and I think it's pretty simple.
And okay, this is the last. Ta-da! What's the biggest lesson you've learned in your psychic journey? That's just a short question.
Yeah. Yeah, no, nothing, no weighted question there. Let's see. What have I would say, well, first of all, the fear thing was a huge thing for me. Run towards your fears. Do not run away. That's just your ego trying to stop you or limit you. So run towards it, because that's how you break through. The other thing I would say is that I trust. You have to trust what you get. Trust it. And I always say that, spirituality is different than anything else in the 3D world, because spirituality, with spirit, was trying to hone or get really proficient at a spiritual ability, that you trust first, and then the evidence comes. In the 3D world, you gather the evidence and then you trust it.
Right.
In the spirit realm, it's the opposite. You trust first, and then you start to get that validation. So those were things that, and I use them to this. I'm literally to this very day, because, like I said, you have an ego. And so some little thing can just make your ego flip and say, oh, can I even do it? Am I even doing this right? What am I doing? Why am I even trying to do this? That will happen. I think no matter how experienced you are, I think that you have those days and you have those moments, and you need to go back into pushing through your fears and just trusting. It's okay. It's all okay. And just trust that it's going to be all right.
When you were talking about you have to, something's going to happen, but you live in an evidence-based world. When I used to work in politics, and for those of you who don't know, yes, I was a political consultant, which is why I don't talk about them ever. Um, we were doing a huge event in Dallas, and it was Obama had just been elected senator to the US Senate, and he'd been invited to come speak with Harry Reid and Joe Biden. Is this not weird? That's the three people we had on that stage. We're
Wow.
doing it in an open air park. And one of the lawyers who'd been set up to organize this, he knew I was the only person he knew who could organize people. He said that was my skill. I could get all the people lined up where they needed to be. So he brought me in and he said, "Can we do this? We had 21 days." And I said, "I have to go talk to someone, but I think I can do it." So I drove to Arkansas, picked up Sean, my oldest son, brought him back from Arkansas and said, "You have to help me do this." And we did it. And this one woman who'd gotten all these lawyers to put the money up to do this, she kept saying, she's a lawyer too, she kept saying, "Oh my God, I hope some people show up," because the head of the Democratic Party in Dallas at the time said, "We won't get 500 people there." And I told her it'll be closer to 5,000. But I said, "We don't say that out loud." And she said, "When you say that, it's like you know that." And I said, "Yes, Jennifer." How it worked. We had 5,000 people show up. It was the largest rally since Kennedy was assassinated in Dallas.
Oh my gosh.
And we had 5,000 people in that park. It was absolutely glorious. It was the reawakening. It was the next election when Dallas went blue and became a blue county again. And it was a matter of confidence. And Jennifer kept saying to Doug, who'd helped raise the money, "Nancy knew that. How'd she know that?" And Doug had a mother who was intuitive, and he understood the signs. And he said, "That's why I trusted her to put this together, because she wouldn't let the naysayers say no." So it really is, even when you're not laying cards and talking to people that way, you just have to go with what you feel is right. And I was exhausted, but Obama said my name from the stage. He said,
Oh,
"Before I talk, I want to thank Nancy Lloyd, Sean Briscoe, and Doug." And he said, "Doug and his name was Haloftis. And he said, "Doug Haloftis," because he said, "I understand those are the three people that are the reason we're standing here." And it was true.
oh my gosh, how neat. Oh, I love
I
that.
wish I'd have taped that, because that would be the ring on my phone to this day. But anyway, thank you so much. This is more about you than me, but I throw my little stories in to try and explain to people how it works. Kim asked me to come on her channel and talk about and of course I'm going to do the commercial, grids.
Oh, they're amazing.
This is my grid for the whole world. 3 other psychics helped me put this together 4 years ago. And it's about the safety of the world. And the thing is, the center stone is cracking and coming off.
Oh
And
my.
I've never had a stone. It's a big piece of fluorite. I've never had one do that before.
Oh.
One of the people who inspired me to do that will be one of my people coming on. His name is Tim Walter. He's not a name you know. He works with earth energy, ley lines, and he cures houses in England. He lives in York.
Wow.
You should go meet him when you're there, Kim. He is absolutely wonderful.
Yes.
But
I love that.
he's coming on. I've got a lot of other people are coming on. David Johnson's coming on. I also have a lot of people whose names you've never heard of, who are just psychics working in the trenches and doing what they do. And it's important to hear all our stories.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait to hear all of these psychics answer all these questions, because I'm sure.
I had a matter of fact, you know how you said someone grabbed your hand and said, "Yeah, we're going to do this." I talked to Sheila from Celtic Tarot, and I said, "I have this idea for the show called Psychic Profiles." And she said, "That's brilliant. I'll be on Sunday." And I'm like, no, it was like the next day or something. And I was like, okay. So I had my questions kind of together, and she kicked it off. Then I had Linda G, and I got a lot of people. So if you want to see this content, you kind of have to subscribe to my channel because I send out a notice every time it's going to be on. I'm going to create it as a playlist. Many are live like this one. Many will be taped and I will put them up and we will play them later. But right now, because of the response from other psychics saying, how do I get in on this? I've got people through November.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's fabulous.
So,
Gosh.
and it's everything. It's soup to nuts. It's numerologists. It's astrologers. I already had Dorothy Morgan as an astrologer. I've had card readers. I've had true psychics. You didn't talk about it, but when you start out, you used to scribble on paper before
I still do. I still do. Not all the time, but I do. Yeah.
Yeah, you're what I call a scribbler. And what they do is they free their mind. They attach their energy onto that paper and it opens up their mind. That doesn't work for me. Then I'm busy scribbling and I'm not listening to anything else. But we all find our own way.
Yeah.
We all work with the mediums we need to work with. And it's so important that every glimmer of light that is being exposed to us now is brought into its fullest form so that we can move forward. It's really, we're at that point. And that's the message I got. They said, well, if you don't choose to die tonight, we're going to make you live and you're going to have to go light up everybody's fires. So now I have to light up, although I got a clean bill of health for those who've been following this saga. I was so sick, they thought I was going to die, and they didn't expect me to leave the ER. And then when I got up on the floor, they didn't expect me to leave the floor. My lungs and my heart collapsed, and I got a clean bill of health from the cardiologist yesterday. He said within 48 hours of when I entered the hospital, they said it's like she wasn't sick. There's no arrhythmia. There's no damage to her heart. And my blood pressure was so high, I shouldn't have been alive. And I mean, like 248 over 137 high.
Oh my God.
And so that's what I'm preaching to people now. Don't make them push you to the edge. Don't make them tell you.
Right.
You walk down the hall. You can either go to the Golden Trail to the right in your room or go down the hallway and get in the ambulance. You got 4.5 hours. Don't push yourselves to that point. Be aware. And it's so much. I guess it's an NDE. I don't know what else to call it. I actually have done a show on it on my channel about the voices that always talk to me, the voices that told me to go home because COVID was coming a month before everybody else closed down. I went home. I mean, my voices take care of me, but
right.
They kept saying you're going to live to be 100, and here I was 76, and they're saying you can go right. And it would have been the perfect night. It was the night when they had the No King's Day and everybody marched in the U.S. And that's what I had been preaching for years. Get off your butt, get out in the streets and do something. And they said it'd been perfect time for you to leave because there would have nothing left on that part of my life. So I don't do any of that part of my life anymore. Now I'm trying to teach every person how to find their psychic spark. And you've helped so much, Kim, because you've lit up so many people. I've sat in her classes. If she gives another class, look for it. And for those of you who said, oh, I tried this, I tried that, keep trying stuff because
just keep trying.
I just go from thing to thing. I went from cards to astrology to crystals to all kinds of stuff.
And have fun. You know, I think.
Yeah, if you don't enjoy it.
Have fun with it. Just enjoy it and it will come.
And if you leave your family behind, I'm a perfect person to talk to about that. I have 3 brothers that are out there somewhere, but one was one of Dick Cheney's best friends, and that was it.
Oh, jeez. Oh, no.
I'm done. It's not that I'm condemning him to anything. It's just I don't want to be there for it.
Yeah, it is complicated. I think a lot of people
complicated
things like this.
Yeah. And we want each and every one of you. I hope you'll show up again. I hope you'll share this with your friends. I hope you'll like and subscribe. And I imagine a lot of the names I don't know here came from your channel. So you don't got to subscribe to Kim, but you got to subscribe to me if you want to stay inside the profiles.
Nancy, do you still do readings?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I was going to say you gave me a reading one year.
I did a 12-month reading. Those start again in November.
Was amazing. So if you guys get a chance to do a 12-month read, if Nancy Jean starts doing those, you need to get one. I just want to say
I do them from
so spot on, so good.
That was an interesting year. But yeah, and no, I still do readings. And matter of fact, I have a reading. I'm reading tomorrow. The only time I do politics is Sunday morning on my channel with Scott from Wisconsin. We do a very civil reading show. We don't talk about, we don't call people names. Well, Scott calls people names.
Right.
But, and then right after that, I'm doing a ladies grid reading. And then I've got a grid reading Monday, and I've got some other, I'm still doing my readings, but I had to slow up after I got sick because it really is. I'm 48 hours out from the doctor saying, we can't find anything. They told me my body's younger than it was 4 years ago when they did a whole physical on me.
Oh my gosh, that is, and I remember putting you on the prayer list, Nancy. I don't know
yes,
that
you did. I know. I heard about that.
I knew what was happening, but I did, and I'm so glad that you're okay. I'm so glad.
And all those prayers and all of the people who were there for me and all the people who gave to my GoFundMe, because I'm a little old lady living on Social Security and readings. And that's not a lot of money. And we had a wonderful time. And, you know, it's hard to say this, but almost dying kind of pulled me out of a place I didn't know I'd even gotten into. It's woken me up to a whole new way of living. And this series is part of it.
Oh, that's great. So, yeah, sometimes those shakeups are, you know, we didn't know we needed it, but it's like, oh, maybe I did. Maybe I did need it. Yes.
And we thank all of you who came into the chat to brighten up our day. And Prince Charming's mom, I'm so glad to see you in chat.
Thank you.
Because I hadn't heard from you in a bit. And anyway, I will love to see you in the future. My next, I'm blanking. Join my channel and then you'll get the notice. But I think I have another psychic profile on Tuesday. And I know I have 3 of them the following week, because those are ones I had to arrange with international time zones, which is, you guys have no idea.
Are they going to all be live, Nancy?
Those are going to all be live.
Nice. Good. That's great. I love it. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.